100 years. 100 years of telling the stories of ECU, Greenville, and the surrounding areas. Join us as we celebrate the East Carolinians' 100-year milestone on this audio journey. Welcome to a century-long Voyage podcast. In this podcast, we have a conversation with Jessica Richmond.
Okay. Well, just start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name is Jessica Richmond, and I was editor-in-chief of the East Carolinian in 2015. I started at the East Carolinian in 2012, just as a news reporter. So, yeah.
What section did you write for?
News. I wanted to write for A&E, but news scooped me up.
Yeah, I was also a news reporter, actually, in sophomore year. What did your role as editor-in-chief involve, and what did the environment look like? Just what did it look like for you?
So we were kind of going through a bit of a transition period. We were just getting support from ECU at that time. Prior to that, we were kind of just left out on 3rd Street, and they just let us do our own thing. They didn't really care what we did. But they helped get an advisor. Prior to that, we didn't really have much advising. We kind of were just, wild animals out there. And then we got John Harvey, who was a phenomenal add to the East Carolinian. He had 40 years of journalism experience, started at the Philadelphia Inquirer. He covered the civil rights movement. So he was a very experienced journalist that was able to show us what it was like to actually work at a newspaper, what people were actually looking at, and show us why it was so important. It's really easy to be like, okay, we're covering the food court or whatever, and it's not that important. But when he puts it into context of oh yeah, I covered Martin Luther King Jr., and you're like, oh, that's a big deal. These things lead to that,
That's very cool.
Yeah, and then what would you say off that? What do you think you learned about yourself during your time as editor-in-chief?
Oh, yeah. I definitely learned that I was capable of leading a lot more than I thought I was. I really found that that's one of my strengths, which I wouldn't have known unless I was put into that situation and forced to lead. But I really found that within myself, just being able to see what everyone else needed, prioritize the newspaper sometimes over my own classes, and then, just really support everyone the way they needed it.
Did you make any changes or initiate anything when you became editor?
So actually the current design of the newspaper that you guys still use, I designed.
Wow.
So we did a huge redesign, and that was one of them.
What aspects of the redesign did you contribute to?
Nearly everything. I mean, we checked, we changed the font, we changed the layout, the header, we changed the front page layout. It used to have a really odd, kind of column that went down the side always. So we just kind of freed it up to be a little bit more aesthetically pleasing and less old school, and allow for bigger pictures and, more layout options.
So you said you were EIC in 2015. So 10 years ago now. Looking back, is there anything you would have done differently? Or even just, would you have been the exact same?
That's a good question. I did have a little bit of controversy during my time, but I honestly don't think I would have done anything differently with that. I think maybe I would have enjoyed it a little bit more, honestly. Just really soaked it in and enjoyed that, I only have 1 year of this, and these people are going to graduate, and you might not see any of them for a long time. So just really, this is one of the only times in your life when you're going to be surrounded by people your own age, interested in the same things that you are, pursuing the same things that you are. So yeah, it's a really unique opportunity, and I think I would have enjoyed it a little bit more.
Controversy that you dealt with?
Sure. So we had pirate rants. You guys have pirate rants. So one of the pirate rants that was published was kind of controversial. It said, "Why isn't there a white student union? I feel underrepresented." And I published it. And the next day I woke up to death threats. It turned into kind of quite a big thing. The Black Student Union had me come and talk in front of them and kind of explain my situation. And we were able to explain it. And I think the Black Student Union and me came to a conclusion that yeah, that was a racist pirate rant, but that doesn't mean the newspaper is racist, or that I'm racist. And that basically by putting it out there, we're able to have a discussion. The newspaper is a mirror on society. We can't show anything that doesn't already exist.
Yeah.
So by being able to show that, we were able to discuss it and able to talk about, is racism a problem at ACU? Are Black people underrepresented? And what can we do to solve that rather than just getting angry? So it was definitely a great learning experience. I wouldn't want to repeat it. But yeah, that was probably the defining controversy of my EIC days.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand that we're like amplifying voices. We're not the ones putting the ideas out there. So they try to like fight back on us, and we're like, we're not the ones doing it. We're just
people don't understand because we're the ones behind the scenes. They don't know the behind the scenes type of deal. And I mean, well, that's it for like everything you talk about when it comes. It could be like TV shows, movies, music, newspaper. It doesn't matter what it is. It's always behind the scenes stuff that people just don't know about.
Yeah. Yep. And I think pirate rants, people really didn't understand how that worked.
Yeah. Kind of going with the issues and the advice. What advice would you give to someone stepping into an editor-in-chief role for the first time?
Well, like I said, I would say enjoy it. Enjoy your time while you're doing it, but also know that this is a really important role. It can seem very isolated and like you're only in charge of the few tech people that are running around, but you're representing the university to the world. And I've come across in my years someone like from, I think it was University of Pennsylvania, being like, oh, I read that article that you were, did this. And it's crazy how big the world is, but also how small it is, how student newspapers really are just like one small world and they all kind of know each other. And yeah, so this is just your training grounds. This is your little training wheels. And even if you don't go into journalism, this is such an amazing opportunity to really learn and hone so many skills that can be beneficial throughout the rest of your life and in any career.
Yeah, very true.
How did you come up with ideas for the budget at that time?
Oh, yeah. So we had quite a few meetings and we would have reporters come in with ideas. But for the most part, a lot of the editors were the ones that were feeding the ideas because reporters at that time were pretty young. And so they would come in with some great ideas. But occasionally it was mostly the editors and we would listen to the police scanner or, random stuff, just trying to get anything. But back then, oh God, what was the name of the app? I don't even remember. It was like Yak. Yes. We would follow that and it would give us so many tips on like crime that was about to happen. And it would also give us a pulse on like what people were thinking. So I guess, social media in general just kind of helped us with that. One that came across via Yak was the bra bandit. There was a guy that was in one of the dorms that was stealing bras out of the laundry room. And he was hanging them up in his room, we found out later, like on a giant clothesline. So I sent two of my reporters to go, break into the dorm to go find out more information. But that was just because we saw people were missing bras.
Yeah, Yik Yak is still there, but now it's more of just a gossipy platform.
There's I feel like there's once every 2 weeks there may be something actually okay, this could be used for something, but most of it is just gossip stuff.
Yeah.
This was you could follow a drug deal on there if you wanted to.
Oh, wow. That's really useful then.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you touched on one challenge already, but were there any other big challenges that you faced as editor-in-chief? And are there any strategies you used to overcome those?
Honestly, I think balancing being a college student with working basically a full-time job, it was constant. I mean, even if I wasn't in the office, I would still have people calling me or texting me or needing something. And I was an English major, so I had a lot of writing and reading to do. And that was really hard to balance. So sometimes I would be writing my paper in the office and getting random editors be like, hey, can you help me with this? Does this sound good? Does this not sound good? It was kind of a group project. I think it was a lot of us were in that position where we just kind of had to help each other out in order to get through college. But we knew what we were learning in that building was so much more important than, I don't know, British literature. Not that British literature is not important. But, we were able to learn very hands-on skills that I still use. So,
how many people were on your staff?
We had about 50.
Wow. That must have been so nice. We have like 10 now.
Oh, that hurts my heart.
Yeah, I was surprised when you said 50. I was not expecting that.
Yeah,
number.
I was expecting at least like 20, but that's crazy.
Yeah, that hurts my heart. Yeah, we had 2 editors for every section. We had like 8 designers. We had multiple photographers. But yeah, I know that it has become far less popular. And it's really sad to me to hear that because, yeah, maybe newspapers aren't the coolest thing in the world, but I think the East Carolinian is the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, for sure. And our readership's been declining as well. And I've been trying to think up ways to like increase that. And I think I'm going to do that through like increasing engagement with the Instagram account and things like that over the newspaper. But it just sucks because we're the newspaper.
But I mean, even real newspapers are dealing with this kind of thing. I worked at a newspaper in New Hampshire. And I mean, just a few years ago, there was a staff of, 30 or so, and now they're down to 10. And it's just really sad. When I worked there, I met all sorts of politicians. New Hampshire is the first primary, so they're the first people to vote. So a lot of the presidents go through there and sit down with all the newspapers up there for some reason and eat at diners and, do the whole spiel. So I met Trump and Hillary and everyone that was running in 2016, all 800 of them. And it's such a cool experience. And I feel like what we were able to offer the people that were reading our newspaper, like an interaction with these presidential candidates, that's not something that you really get from Instagram,
Yeah.
You need some long form content sometimes.
It gives you like a truly in-depth perspective.
Exactly. But there's so many different avenues for news these days. You do YouTube, you can do a podcast, you can, it's all over the place. Radio has, changed so much as well. It's crazy. Soon we'll have AI newspapers or something.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. TikTok newspapers.
Yes.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh God, I don't want to see that.
And then last question, Jessica, what was your favorite story you ever ran for the East Carolinian?
So my favorite one that I probably wrote was my going away, like farewell article. It was very pretentious. I was very up in my own feels. Basically, it was talking about the lotus eaters in the Iliad. And when they get to the island, they start eating the lotus flowers and they start to forget everything that matters. They start ignoring everything and they just look for pleasure. And I used it as a warning for what could become with our students if they continue to just eat the lotus flowers and they don't read the newspaper, they don't pay attention to the news, they don't go to the city council meetings or vote or anything like that. If they just keep kind of going through life looking for the pleasures, eventually they're going to forget about anything that's important. So that was really what was hitting me as I was leaving, was that while the people in this newspaper office, they understand how to read the news and the news literacy, I don't think that most of the people that were graduating were literate in news. And that really hurt. Still hurts. I mean, that's still going on in the world.
Yeah, ignorance, yeah.
Yep.
And then before we end, Jessica, is there anything you just want to say to the reviewers, just in general, anything you just want to say as like a closing type of deal?
Join the East Carolinian, join WZMB, Like, seriously, join pirate media in any way that you can, even if you're just a photographer and you take a few pictures. Just being involved in college is so important. You get a completely different experience out of your university experience if you are just more involved. You're paying a lot of money to be there. Get what you can out of it.
Mm-hmm. That's great advice.
The East Carolinian proudly celebrates 100 years, marking a century of covering the stories of ECU, Greenville, and the surrounding areas. As part of this milestone, we invite you to join us throughout 2025 on a journey through our history. Our dedicated anniversary webpage offers a curated collection of nostalgic highlights, vintage articles, archive photos, and trivia. In addition to these weekly updates, the page serves as a gateway to exclusive 100th anniversary merchandise, including a commemorative planner and t-shirt design to honor this landmark occasion. The EastCarolinian.com/100.